Hello, my name is Jake. This is Jacob Burton. We're here to interview Christian Thompson, Greek Life coordinator. Um, Basically, we're going to ask you some questions about your background and what we got going on for the future for Greek Life.
Okay.
Start off with where were you born at, and tell us about your family.
All right. So I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. I am the oldest of four. Growing up in St. Louis was pretty great. I'm from the inner city of St. Louis. My mom, she is a single parent. Mainly growing up, she did the best she can to make sure, again, we just take education seriously. That, I become a really great brother and leader, in a household and my family, pretty much. Life in St. Louis, pretty great. You got to be a Cardinals fan to live in the state, support the Blues. We don't have the Rams anymore. That's unfortunate. But life growing up in the city was pretty good. A few rough areas and rough patches, I kind of went through as a young youth. But from that, it all made me the person that I am today, and why I've also continued to, work in education in some aspects.
You talked about living in St. Louis. Which high school did you go to?
Hazelwood Central in St. Louis, Missouri. I graduated in 2011. During my time there, I also won 2 state championships, one in football and also one in track as well, too. Yeah.
Talking about athletics, did you play athletics in college? Any activities you were involved in?
Yes. So when I first went to college, I played football due to a concussion incident that happened. I thought I had a touchdown. I'm like, all right, grass is green, finna make it. There was this big linebacker came out of nowhere, and I got flatlined like some Play-Doh or something. And that didn't work out too well. And I actually woke up. I was in the hospital. Couldn't remember where I was, how I got there. And at that moment, I really pretty much realized that, football may not be the best interest for me anymore. So right away, track has always been like a second love for me, right next to football. So I immediately got a track scholarship and started playing. And from there, ran track all 4 years at Lincoln University. Came close to winning one national title. That was in 2011. I want to say 2012. We came close. Indoor, we finished close a couple times with a couple third place finishes. But besides that, track, that's always been my love. In track, I also ran with a lot of Jamaicans as well too at Lincoln University. Very, nice, diverse team. And one thing that I took away from running with the program was that, there in Jamaica, they're pretty much ready to run because they run all year round. The weather's nice, and they have classes to where they're actually geared towards their athletic sport. And then, pretty much here in America and us living in the Midwest, it's pretty hard due to the weather that happens, almost year round, and having a good indoor and outdoor schedule and flexible places to also run and get your workout in. But it really made me become more of a humble person. For me to maybe, work on myself individually with my skill and my running abilities, and we're also learning a new culture at the same time as well. So running track at Lincoln really is the avenue to help me become the man that I am as well.
What did you run in track?
So in track, I ran the 100, 200, 400, 300, and long jump one time before too. All not to mention the steeplechase. So I was pretty much, my main events was just mainly sprints. A few relays in there as well too, 4x1, 4x4. But also was that guy who was like, hey, you know what? I want to try this race. Let me see what it's like to run in a 400. No, I'm not a 400 runner. Hurdles became one of my biggest loves as well too. With just the doubt that they had with me being very short. So I'll be in the race, getting ready and warming up, and they're like, oh, what race are you warming up for? I'm like, oh, well, 300-meter hurdles. Folks will actually laugh at me and be like, oh, we're going to beat this kid. But, I do have some ability as far as my speed. Sometimes jumping was a bit of a hurdle. I wasn't that great at it. But getting out there, giving it a great shot, and just never giving up was one thing that I really enjoyed with the sport. Steeplechase was also that same amount of energy, time, and dedication. Running around the whole time, jumping around the barrier into the water pit, and then, back around the track again. It was very exhausting. But from that, I really just had a love, for track and, just trying different events, what worked, what doesn't work. We're just trying something new.
Were you involved in any Greek life during your college experience?
Yes. So in 2012, I joined my organization, which is Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm the first member of my organization to actually cross. On my line, I have 8 other individuals as well too.
Did you take any positions in Greek life while you were there?
Yes. So my 4 years, I was also president of our chapter, events coordinator, a little bit of finances as well too. So mainly, I mean, my whole job, I would just say, was just keeping us out of trouble. My whole thing at the time was like, well, I'm like the advisor, the friend, lawyer, you know, just trying to make sure we check off all our stuff for risk management, and just pretty much we follow all guidelines and principles that's delegated by the university. Yeah.
So as president, can you go into detail, like if you can, about like some of your like responsibilities?
Yes. Good. I would say my number one responsibility was like submitting reports to our national office. That can be chapter reports, finances that we had accumulated, whether it's through the fall semester or spring semester. Number 2, I would say, is chapter management. At the time when we first bought our chapter back, it was a total, well, 8 of us had first crossed. And by the time we graduated, we had at least, I would say, about 28 brothers on the yard at that time. So restarting a complete chapter is a lot of hard work. You have a lot of input that's given from your, let's say, alumni of the chapter. And at that time, every idea you have is a good program or something that you want to do. But once you listen down, you listen to, like, you know, older brothers and other chapters of like what worked, what has not worked, you start to realize, you know what, maybe we should not reinvent the wheel. So a lot of my time was really focused on, again, like, you know, really good program planning, and really just trying to set ourselves up for a chapter excellence within those few years when I was president. At that time, we also wanted to focus on fundraising and really getting our exchequer for our balance and our chapter up. So at the time, by the time we actually graduated, we ended up with at least like $10,000 in our account. So that's, again, by strategic programming. We hosted golf tournaments. We hosted like etiquette dinners. We did, of course, parties are like your number one way to fundraise and have money as well too. But also collaborating with a lot of other organizations, a lot of other alumni chapters as well too. And the number one thing for National Pan-Atlantic Council Greeks as well too is also step shows. So that's also where a lot of our money came from. So we had to compete for our homecoming step show. There may be an extra $500 right there. We had go down to another step show, another state. That may be for $1,000. So we also, you know, had a nice little run for, I would say, 3 out of the 4 years we won and finished a couple first place finishes as well too.
So talking about like president of your fraternity and everything, what got you to Culver Stockton?
What got me to Culver? One, it was a job, where we're located as well too. One, I really, when I looked more in depth into the position, I was like, wow, 9 chapters. You know, there's a lot of great things that's happening with the college. It's a really up and coming, thriving place. So without a doubt, you know, I really, you know, submitted my application, you know, was doing my research, and I ended up here. And since then, I've been very blessed and fortunate to work with a really great staff, a really great Greek community, compromise with everyone within the community and all our Greek chapters so far. So the job really has landed me here, and look to make this a really great long-term thing as well too.
So you became Greek life coordinator last year. How did your first year go?
First year, to me, the first year was, how can I explain it? I feel like a NASCAR driver. I was going 100 miles per hour. I really didn't know anybody. Trying to remember what a restroom was. But it was a really good learning experience for me, really, one, to get to know the students and the culture for like what you all want out of a coordinator. 2, to really learn how the institution moves and shakes, you know, what works here, what doesn't work here, what programs are new that need to be implemented, what are some new updates that needs to be made as far as like our policies around that sort. So it was a really good learning experience, a lot that I took open with, again, embracing everything with open arms and open eyes. But mainly just, you know, just trying to find out like how do I fit in and how can I continue to grow and elevate our chapters in the Greek life position here at Culver Stockton College.
So when you became president at your fraternity, how did that help you for this your position now? Like, what did you take away from being president to help you with this position?
I would say number one is the leadership. At the time when I was president, and I'll be honest, I never thought I would be like a coordinator of fraternity and sorority life, because sometimes when you're managing a chapter, there's so much like exhaustion you can go through as a chapter president. Again, it's trying to make sure your members are being accountable, that your reports are being submitted on time, that your chapter is staying afloat as far as GPA. But it really made me develop that love for just fraternity and sorority life at that time when I look back on it. And then now being here in Covert, where I'm in charge of 9 organizations, over 300 plus students are involved in Greek life, and I think that's like over 40% of our population at Covert. I really enjoyed this, how to show them, male and female, just, you know what, you can be a leader within your organization, and one that you're always wearing your letters no matter what happened. So the leadership is one of the biggest things I've taken away from it. It has shown me that I have to be the best person at all times, whether it's in front of people or if I'm behind closed doors, to always be the best version of myself. So I've always carried that motto of our fraternity, which is achievement in every field of human endeavor. So what that means is, if you're going to be a garbage can man, you're going to be the best garbage can man on earth. You're not going to slack off, you're not going to take a day off, but you're always going to put forth 110%. And I try to make sure I bring that same initiative here to Covert Stockton College, to just show others that it's possible. You really can enjoy your job as well too. For me, it's a lot of fun. Some days are different than others, and actually every day is different. No day is ever the same. So I really enjoy, coming into office, meeting with students, problem solving, planning for events, planning programs, getting philanthropy work done within the community as well too. So there's a lot that I enjoy to work with on my end as being in charge of Greek life.
Take me through like a normal day of your job. What are the requirements you would say you'd have to do like throughout your day?
Oh, where do we start? Well, I give you a daily walkthrough. So most days I do arrive here on campus at about 8:30, or some days it could be 9 o'clock. The first thing I do is pretty much check emails. From emails, there's a list of objectives I may look for. They could be my RA reports that I have. Maybe updating any following up for that happened over the weekend, so any violations that might have occurred. From there, it could be meeting with our conduct panel, having a few conversations with our staff about just advancing things that happened over the weekend. From there, pretty much just meeting with students. I have a lot of chapter one-on-ones I have every other couple weeks. From there, I focus on also chapter and roster management to make sure members are doing well as far as their chapter morale in each chapter. What are some reasons to maybe some chapters are thriving as well too. So I spend a lot of time just mainly planning with chapter presidents and meeting with as many students as I can to figure out like what I can do always to do my job a bit better as well. And pretty much just on the other end, risk management, prevention as well too.
Homecoming as pastor and everything, what is it like meeting alumni from all these different fraternities and sororities and getting to know the life before you came here?
When I can tell you, it is a lot to take in. During the weekend, well, I can tell you my first homecoming when I came here to Covert, which was in 2018, I was like, wow, first, where's all these people where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna park? Where are they gonna go? And once you see the life that the Hill, it just comes back alive. And I was really able to see that again this year, from a different perspective. I think I was at the top of the hill where the foot is located. Is that the foot? Well, not the foot. The bottom of the hill was where I was. And, I just was reflecting for a second, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people here. And it's always great to see, alumni come back from the class of the 60s, 70s, 80s. And from that, you hear a lot of their stories from how Greek life was back then to where it is now. And you hear hey, we was actually able to have this type of party versus things you can't do now necessarily. Most chapters, they had certain events. They probably won't be, on campus anymore due to risk management and other protocols that happen. But it's always good for, myself, and I would say most importantly for our students and chapters to really, hang out with their alumni and to hear those traditions, the rituals and stories they had from back in the day, because it really is what makes their bond and their unity within each chapter really strong. So I took a lot of time out again to hear some of those stories from what happened with our current chapters, whether they're existing chapters that are still around now or, chapters that were here a long time ago. We have a strong presence here in our Greek life, and I just want to make sure we continue to have that thrive and, for all of our students to have a really great homecoming experience around homecoming.
Where do you feel like Greek life sits with athletics in a sense? There's a lot of athletes that are in Greek life. How does that how does that make you feel that a lot of our athletes are part of the Greek life organization?
Well, I would say from the athletic dynamic, it does make it a bit competitive. Of course, we have a lot of students here that love their athletic sports teams, and then that trickles down to when they join some organizations that may heavily identify with a sports program versus others. But it's always good to see us, again, practice collaboration and teamwork for what makes our institution thrive so well with athletics. We then take that into, sometimes we have Greek Week, and, that competitive atmosphere really comes out to where you're seeing some kids like, hey, we're teammates on a softball or football team or baseball team, but now we're in different houses. I may actually be able to sprint, against you and compete against you. So there's a lot of teamwork that happens, during the week, but it's also good for students to really just let loose and be themselves and, really have time within our organizations to just, just rough up each other just a little bit, yeah. But it's really a good competitive atmosphere where they have a lot of fun with each other. But athletics, yeah, it's different versus a lot of other institutions to where we have a lot of students that identify, one being Greek, that also identify being within an athletic program. So here that is a bit different, but it's also what makes Cover very special and unique as well too. It's one thing that keeps our sports programs thriving along with our organizations.
Kind of like a follow-up question that can you kind of relate to a lot of the students on campus since you were a part of athletics in college and part of Greek life?
Yes. I would say, well, when I ran track, my track coach, he wasn't Greek. He didn't identify with any Greek organization. And honestly, I don't think he liked Greek life because it actually took the students away from the sport. But I was actually the first member on the track team in a long time that actually joined the Greek life organization. So when he seen me, again, I have good character as a person, and when he seen that the chapter didn't take me away from the program, but how it also made me a better athlete as well too, he actually started allowing more of the members of the track team to join different organizations. And also, well, I didn't mention this before, and I kind of said it, well, just a little bit, but some of the people, again, they didn't have much knowledge of Greek life except, maybe they just dance and they do all the strolling. But once I had those conversations with them more in depth, like, hey, we actually do service, we have philanthropy-driven missions, we get out in the community and we do different things. They was like, okay, well, how can I get involved? How can I do that? So, again, once I started wearing letters to practice, started inviting them to events and pretty much just being an open door policy and sharing as much as I can with them, I started seeing a big turnaround within our team of how they were outgoing. They felt more connected to the college and university, and mainly just a sense of belonging besides just identifying to one particular program. So that is one thing I always take away from it, is that when you do join a Greek life organization or any organization on campus, you have more of a sense of home. You identify somewhere, you're able to connect with everyone on campus through your efforts as well.
Where would you like to see Greek life in the next 10, 15 years? 10,
15 years. One, I would like us to be at least competing for a national ranking somewhere in that category. I would like for us to have maybe a big gala or event sometime in the future for Greek life. Another thing I would like in the next 10, 15 years, and these things that can happen maybe, not going to say tomorrow or next semester, but within planning, but mainly for us to continue to be on campus. It's one of the biggest things, and to keep raising awarenesses for our individual philanthropy missions. And again, just competing nationally and competing, doing a great job for our chapters. That's why I would say Greek life is for us, for Cover, in the next 10, 15 years.
Would you also be open to having another organization or two come on campus as either a sorority or a fraternity?
Yes, I'm currently working on some things right now. Still waiting on some emails to be returned back of what organizations can come back and whatnot. But some may be back sooner than others. I would say as a special surprise. Just have to wait and see. But currently right now, yeah, I would love to add at least maybe another fraternity or sorority on campus. Yes.
That's all I got. Do you have any questions for him?
Is there any last minute advice you want to leave off on for new students, new Greeks, or basically anybody in general?
Yes, I would say when you're Greek, again, remember you're always wearing your letters, and you are a part of something that is pretty much bigger than you are. And when you leave here and you graduate, I want you all to stay connected with your chapter. Stay connected to the college. Give back to the college, and most importantly, give back to your chapter. We cannot continue to grow and accomplish the things we want in the future if we don't give back and to continue to inspire those that are coming after us as well too. So I'm a big supporter of transmitting things greater and better than you inherited. So that's to our current Greeks. To students that are not Greek, again, look into our organizations that we have on campus. It's really important that you consider Greek life. There's a lot of benefits, and it's not all about the partying. The partying is probably the last thing on the checklist. If not, it barely doesn't happen at all. But there's a lot of bonding experiences that come out of college. From our community service events to our philanthropy, to the connections that you build through our organizations. I really encourage everyone to give it a chance, give it a shot, connect with someone you know that's part of a Greek letter organization, and don't be that kid that's like, hey, you know what, I should have joined a fraternity, or I thought about it. You're in college, you have 4 years and a life beyond this place as well too. Do everything while you can here as well too. So definitely go Greek and give it a shot.
That's all we have for you. We'd like to thank you for doing this interview with us.
Thank you.
No, just thank you again.
Thank you.